Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back. It's been a little bit. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for joining. Okay. Today I am cleaning and grinding work from a recent wood firing, and I'll make a follow-up video, kind of showing some of the results. But there's a whole bunch of pots back here. They are crusty. Some of them are crusty. Some of them have little pieces of wadding that are stuck in there. So I'm going to show you a few of the tools that I use to clean these up, and so that they're like absolutely baby's bottom smooth. So first off, we'll just jump right into it. I have Dremel. I clearly don't have any sponsors, so this, everyone should probably have a Dremel. They're really nice. And then I'll put a link to this product down in the description. It is grinding paste. I use it to help with some of the sanding. And then I've got a 120 grit diamond from Diamond Tools. I've got a 120 grit sanding pad and a 3500 grit. So let's dive right into this with these plates. With these initial, I could sit and sometimes, actually, to start off, I soaked these. I let them sit in water for way longer than 24 hours, but 24 hours is kind of like what I've heard is a good way to start. I'm going to use my Giffen grip to get this thing pretty well held in center. And then I'm just going to give this a quick once over with the Dremel. This is going to get loud, I'm assuming, but I'm going to get some of these big chunks off of there. So I'm just lightly I'm not really applying a lot of pressure. I'm just lightly going over and getting some of the big pieces off here. And then what I'm going to do is get a little bit of this. Okay, so on this stuff, this chemico, I don't know how you pronounce it. I'm almost positive you can't get this in the States. I did find it on Amazon from over across the pond. So I'm going to use a little bit of the coarse end. There's a coarse end and a fine end. So here, hold on. Coarse end, fine end. I'm going to add a little bit. I'm sure I'm not supposed to be barehanding this, but whatever. I'm going to add a little bit. I'm also not 100% sure if this is exactly how you're supposed to be using this stuff, but I've tried it a couple times. It tends to work. I think it works pretty well. So, and then I'm just going to hold my sanding block. Whoop. Let the wheel do a bunch of the work. I've also got a sponge with some water to kind of clean this thing off in between sandings so I can get an idea of how things are coming. And then I'm going to add a little bit of the fine. I'm just kind of adding it on there a little bit. That. And then I'm going to use my 3500 block. I am holding the other, so you can see this connection isn't super strong. I am holding down with my left hand. And applying that. There we go. I'm going to wipe that off, see what we're working with here. I'm actually going to give the rim a little bit of a sanding too. especially when it comes to functional wood-fired work. Sometimes you're left with some, you know, either like, so I applied a glaze to these pots. It's a glaze called, it's a Warren McKenzie recipe. It's called 446. It's out there in the interwebs somewhere. It's on a buff with ochre, so it's fired really dark, which I really like. And then I like leaving, you know, fingerprints on there, heavy tool marks, as you can see in some of the videos. But, you know, you can still see where the wadding was, but this is extremely smooth now. And it'll be really just nice to use. I like the look of wood-fired work, but sometimes making functional pots that are wood-fired can be tricky because there's a lot of sort of crustiness left behind. But if you do a pretty thorough job of sanding and grinding, you can usually get a lot of it off, and it'll look nice and crusty, like, for instance, some of these bowls that I did already. I mean, that looks pretty crusty and gnarly, but it is extremely smooth, and I really like, this had a Shino glaze on it. I really like the results of this. And then again, I sanded the bottom. I mean, that's about as smooth as it gets right there. So you just do the touch test. Yeah, I think it yields some pretty cool results. So I've got some bigger chunks on here. Let's get the Dremel involved again. And again, just not trying to carve chunks. Just trying to knock off the big chunks. All right, and then the rest of them, I'm gonna let the grinding paste do the trick. So again, I've got some of this, the coarser stuff loaded up on there. I'm just letting the Giffen grip do all the work. That probably load up a little bit more. Just kind of leaving a little residue on there. All right, sweet. And there you have it. I kind of just keep this towel there to clean it off, dry off the excess, and then do the final touch test like that. It's cool. This thing is silky smooth now and ready to be washed one last time. And yeah, good to go. I think I'm gonna probably do an online sale of this stack of wood-fired work back here at some point, hopefully in the near future. Yeah, the reason for the lack of videos is we've got some work to do on the house, actually gutting and remodeling the house. So been a little predisposed with that. But beyond that, let me know down in the comments. Ooh, you know what? Actually, let's do one of these boxes. Let's do this one. Okay, so the boxes from a previous video, you can see a little two-piece box. This thing's a little wet yet from letting it soak. Surprisingly, it's in pretty good shape. As far as it's not super crusty, so that's awesome. I'm just going to give it a quick once over on the bottom. Just so it's not scratching a tabletop or a surface or anything like that. Oh, gotta use the right side. Just sanding away. And that is crazy smooth. There. Okay. Like that. This buff with ochre in the wood kiln fires really interesting. There's some like almost wild metallic kinds of effects happening on that one. And then want to make sure that I get this seam nice and smooth. And you can just feel it as it's going around. Just like that. Cool. Alright. Make sure you know where the other end of your towel is. It's always fun to get this thing tangled up in the Giffen grip. Just like that. Super smooth, awesome. And then this is where it gets a little tricky. Okay. So I'm gonna hold that. Yeah, that's gonna be tricky. Okay. With these Giffen grips, nope, that ain't gonna work either. Just gonna have to kind of improvise to smooth these out. So let's see if it works. I've got a little bit of leeway. Woo! Okay. There we go. Just trying to find the right angle. Sweet. Very sweet. Okay. Cool. Okay. So, if you don't have a Giffen grip, I would still use the wheel somehow to save yourself the time and the effort. It is so much easier to use machines than it is to sit and hand grind and wear your joints out. But again, wood-fired work, I really, really love it. I did the midnight to 6 a.m. shifts, so I really didn't have the opportunity to film it because a lot of times during the firings, especially those shifts, you're sleep deprived and you're running around like a lunatic, making sure the kiln's firing nice and smooth. So, but hopefully at some point in the near future, I will film portions of a wood firing for those of you that are interested. Otherwise, any questions about grinding and cleaning wood-fired pots, please leave them down in the comments. Oh, also, I do have a couple other pieces of sandpaper for getting in some of the weird nooks and crannies, especially in bowls. These come in handy. And actually, I'll do one super quick to show you what I mean. So getting in the bowl would prove to be a little tricky with the block. So what you can do is get this thing secured. Like that. Just roughly. And then I've got a 320 grit and 180 grit. Start with the 180, start with the coarser grit, push down from the inside, and just work your way. Sometimes a little splash of water. Wet sanding, I think, is more effective. There you go. And I'm just kind of moving this thing back and forth. Just like that. And that is legit super smooth, even though it looks wonderfully wood-fired and crusty, which I think is pretty cool. Again, this buff with ochre and Warren 446 glaze, it almost comes out like a stone, and I really dig it. I really like the look of that. So anyways, if you have any questions, let me know down in the comments. Please like, subscribe, and share if you find some value in these. Otherwise, we will see you on the next one, and I appreciate your time, per usual. Thank you.